Big ups to the Maryland football Terps. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem Podcast.
The Maryland football Terps?
Yeah.
I guess there is more than one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 178 of the O The Anthem Podcast. It is 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. That makes it 9:40 p.m. Eastern time. Mm-hmm. And O The Anthem is live from coast to coast, coming to you from beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California, at the OTA #OTA LA Studios, high above the 110 freeway.
Yes. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for joining us. And we are both in our we're a little bit schemy tonight, I would say.
Schemy?
Yeah.
How so?
Well, we just got out of our fantasy football draft where there's a lot of cloak and dagger and intrigue. I kept saying things like, oh, Sammy Watkins isn't going to catch a lot of touchdowns. He's a good wide receiver, but not for the Rams. And then everyone passes and I'm like, boom, trapped it.
Or everybody just knows he's going to do really horribly. So.
That's how fantasy football works.
Yeah. So we had a treat this afternoon. If you guys are wondering why we're coming to you live, by the way, make sure you join us for the live stream. Every weekend, you'll be able to catch the show live at facebook.com/O The Anthem. But if you don't have a chance to catch us there, the episode is always available on Tuesdays at otheanthem.com, at youtube.com/O The Anthem for the video, or you can download it on your podcatcher of choice. If that happens to be Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a 5-star rating and a review. Helps other people find the podcast and helps us climb the charts. And of course, you can always tell a friend as well.
Oh yeah, like the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, or do what Flash does. When a guy gives you his phone to put in his number, go to find his podcatcher and just download and subscribe to O The Anthem. Put it on auto download as well.
Right.
But no, so usually we do our live stream on Saturday, but we'll get into why we couldn't do it specifically on Saturday. But we also had the draft today, so I feel like we've been on camera all day today. Yeah. It's been putting on a show for everybody.
It's weird because so the way that the living room at the Clark's house works is that they have like the couch, an L-shaped couch in the corner, and then we had the L-shaped couch on the other side. So it was almost like the living room's extended through the TV.
Yes. And we were facing each other.
It was
very
pretty
weird.
Nice.
I don't know if they got the same angle because we had the camera right on top of the TV, so it looked like we were looking at them and the camera at the same time. Mm-hmm. But for us,
we were a little closer to the camera than they were.
Yeah. But it was nice to see everybody to catch up with the posse back home as we did our selections for fantasy football. Much to everyone's chagrin, one of the best selections in the fantasy football teams was an auto draft by Haley, who I'm sure will not touch her team all season long and still end up in the playoffs.
She'll pay her entry, and then she won't touch the team at all. And then she'll win. Yeah, that's how it goes. So.
I don't understand how that keeps working out, but I mean, I know that you helped Rachel cheat the first year. That's how she won.
I didn't help Rachel cheat the first year. And number one, you keep saying like Corey helped her. I've finished no higher than 4th in this fantasy league,
which is so surprising.
Every year.
Yeah.
And you're acting like I'm this puppeteer helping.
I feel like you hobble yourself. You hobble yourself to help your girl. That's what I think is going on here.
Not at all.
You have the other league that you really put in all the effort to. This one, you just hobble yourself and try to help Rachel. It's a conspiracy. I'm just glad we finally have a commissioner who's going to put an end to all of this nonsense. So
all this damn collusion.
Yes, absolutely. The one who's going to lock everybody out if they don't make their payments and who will deny trade requests if there seems to be collusion. I enjoy all of this. All of this is good. And one who won't collude with his significant other, despite the fact that he is the commissioner.
Who, me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, so we got our draft underway. If you guys did your fantasy drafts, how did they end up? Let us know. You can send an email to Corey at otheanthem.com. You can find us on Twitter at Robert N. Cheek.
At LegendsCB5 or at O The Anthem.
At O The Anthem,
just
of course.
Take a screenshot of your fantasy team, and then Rob will predict your record.
Yes, because on all my mock drafts, it was like hitting B, B-, C, and I was like, you know what, this is good. Because that means that my technique is down, and I just think Yahoo is off on its analytics. I am picking the picks that I'm getting the picks that I want, and I think I'm going to do better as the season goes
Fast forward to 8 weeks from now when Rob's like sitting in the corner smoking a cigarette, like just like the long trail of ashes, and he's just like, everyone on the team is terrible. I don't know what I did. Like literally everybody on this team is terrible.
We all can't rely on David Johnson. But let us know how your fantasy football, if you're playing, number one, and how your draft went and how your teams are looking this year. And we'll keep you posted on the Posse Fantasy Football League as it progresses through the fall, just like we have every year before this year. So another bit of news to catch you guys up. Guess who's been going to the gym this week? Hey.
This guy?
No, it's me. Yeah, it's not Corey.
I've gone.
Not been going
I've
at
been
all.
going.
Yeah.
I went 4 times this week.
The trail of excuses.
I went 4 times in 7 days.
4 times in 7 days. Monday.
Yeah.
Wednesday. For a little while.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the next day?
Thursday?
I don't think you went Thursday.
The way I went Thursday and Friday.
You did go Thursday. You didn't go Friday with me, did you?
Yeah.
Nah, I feel like one of those 2 days you skipped. I think it's been 3.
No, it was Friday because we came back up here and then we ate and then we were up till like 2:30 in the morning watching Disjointed and then I went to sleep and went to San Diego.
Yeah, that was Friday. Yeah, so we definitely went Friday. I don't think you went Thursday. You came with me on Friday.
We'll see.
But nonetheless.
Anyway, I don't know if you guys are noticing how much buffer I am than usual, but it's because I went to the gym a couple times this week.
It almost looks like his head is shrinking, if you can notice that. But
look at this 6-pack. It's just
putting in all of that hard work.
Just one nip for fun.
And now we have the explicit label on the podcast, if you're watching along with the video. But we are not doing a challenge of any kind. I know previously on the podcast or this or other ones we've done fitness contest. I'm just like, shit, it's time. It's time. We are 5 months out from being at home, and I don't want to be the same pale, slovenly mess that I was when I left a year ago. Right. So I just want to make sure that things. I'm working on the. You want
everyone to come. You want to come home and everyone be like, wow, Rob, you look great.
LA really did well. You can't see the tan much, but I feel like I'm much tanner than what this camera's picking up. Yeah. Honestly. Got a lot of color. You got a lot of color too, though. So.
I think there's a white balance thing going on with the wall.
It could be.
It's trying to whiten the wall, which is a little yellow.
Yeah, that doesn't help at all. All right. Anyway, so I'm tan, and we're going to the gym, and things are going well. We're
going to have Fun Day Monday tomorrow.
Fun Day Monday.
Instead of Fun Day Sunday.
Going to kill my Tuesday, and I have to have a meeting with my boss on Tuesday, so we're going to have to keep that in mind. Somewhere around 6-7 o'clock on Monday.
A.M.
Oh no, 6-7 o'clock on
6-7 o'clock a.m. We got to go to bed. It's like, this has gone too long, guys.
But of course, if you're watching the video, you'll also see one big change from last week. Look at this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Corey with a haircut.
I know.
What brought that about, Corey?
This was the hottest week in the history of California.
No joke.
San Francisco set a heat record at 106.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't know what San Francisco is like around this time of the year, it's about 60 most of the time.
Yeah.
So 106 is a bit of a jump. Downtown Los Angeles has twice broken its heat record.
In the same week. Yeah.
Yeah. As of last week, the record was 95 degrees. And then it broke that with 100. Yeah. Then it was 106. This past week,
it is hot.
In DTLA. It was ridiculously hot. And it's like one of those things, like when you have long hair and it's thick, like all that sweat just like sort of sits in there, and then all of a sudden it like pours down like a bucket was dropped on you.
So you just reached a point literally in the middle of the day, because I don't think you said anything about getting a cut before. You were just like, screw this, I got to get a haircut.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it a couple days ahead of it, but I just didn't like say it out loud, because I like to do that thing where I just have the haircut and see if people notice.
People notice. You don't get it often, or you get it so infrequently. People are going to notice.
Yeah.
But, it has been ridiculously hot in LA though, and I posted about this on Instagram at Robert and Cheek, where you can see like all the people back east are like, oh my god, fall weather, it's great. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's 65 in Maryland this week, and it was 106. In LA. Yes. And I do enjoy
it's also wildfire season.
I was going to say, and the other side of that is LA, as we've talked about since November, since we've been here, the seasons aren't really the same. It's basically summer all the time here. Instead, what we have are, fire season and wind season and mud season and
rock slide season.
Yeah. And like fall. There's like a short period of fall where it gets January, it got down to like 65 for a couple weeks, right before it went back up into the 80s. So we are now in fire season, and I don't know how much the national news is covering it. Like it's weird because obviously when we're at the gym or watching here locally, the local news is all about the the Tuna Canyon fire. So.
Well, I mean, I think that obviously much of the attention is in Houston right now, in Eastern Texas, as it should be. But wildfires ain't no joke.
No. And this one was moving quickly, and you saw today that they've actually contained it now, apparently.
That's what I heard. I heard that it was it's still burning, but it's sort of like burning in a healthy way.
Okay. Yeah, I am surprised at this. I heard from nobody. This is why I assume it's not on national news. I heard from nobody that was like, "Hey, are you anywhere near the fire, or are you okay from the fire?" That or people back east don't understand that Burbank is very close to where we are.
Yeah.
But literally from the roof of our building, we can see.
I'm trying to find the picture my buddy posted the other day of it, because you can see Burbank's. You can see Burbank, and the fire is literally just on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the mountain range that separates us from Burbank, which from the roof of our building, we could actually probably see the fire burning. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like right.
It's running along the ridge.
It feels like it's 100 yards away.
Yeah, and that's from our side. It would be just 100 yards the opposite direction.
Yeah.
But just so obviously we're totally fine. And
thankfully we're covered by enough buildings that I think we're kind of safe from wildfire.
There's a lot of concrete between us and anything that would actually burn. I mean, Cesar Chavez is 6 lanes across, so the fire's gonna have to jump basically that, and then the 5, and the 101 and the 110 interchange to get to us. So we're probably fine.
I think we're okay.
What we have to worry about is arsonists burning down the building again, like they did before it was built.
Yeah.
But I bet that everyone out there in Burbank wishes that they could take a little bit of that rain that fell in Louisiana and Texas and just drop it in Burbank for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, it would solve it would be wonderful for both if it put out the fire and got California further out of the drought.
And if you checked out last week's episode, which of course, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, obviously.
We did have a bit of a hot take on Harvey. Harvey was just making landfall while we recorded last week.
I mean, I did want to say this because sometimes I re-listen to what we say a couple days later, and I'm just like, oh, I wish I went a little bit more on that. And I wish the thing I wish more on Harvey is that I wish I would have known how much worse it could have gotten.
Yeah.
Like it looked like it was going to be historic rainfall, but like not nearly
not 24
I don't think
trillion.
anybody was expecting
Yeah.
the levels to which it was hitting.
As the week went on is when they started saying, oh, this might be a 100-year storm. Oh, this might be a 500-year storm. So, it certainly wasn't what we were expecting on Saturday when we recorded. But friend of the show, Zach, is from the greater Houston area, and he was updating everyone with pictures of his family's home where the water just increasingly crept closer to the building. And I don't. The thing that people have asked me most is just like, oh, when they say that it's supposed to flood, what does that mean? Well, Houston is basically in a swamp.
Yeah.
So their water retention is basically get the water off of the concrete and into a bayou. I mean, we think about bayous being Louisiana, but the entire Gulf Coast is basically a bayou. So we guys got to get the water into a bayou. And the fastest way to do that is to double up and make the roads also the place that directs water. And LA actually does a very similar thing. The LA River basically, the LA River runs through the entire town, but the freeways...
The mighty, majestic LA River.
Especially right now. But the freeways actually are graded to get water in the direction of the LA River, and then the LA River will take it out to sea. And Houston does the same thing. It's graded to use the highways to get water away from the residential neighborhoods. The problem is, no water system will ever be able to handle 24 trillion gallons of water.
Yeah.
For those of you guys on the East Coast in Maryland, that's more than water than is held in the Chesapeake Bay. So 1.5 Chesapeake Bays fell from the sky over Houston and East Texas, and there's just nothing that's going to contain that much water.
Except for the floodgates at the home of Joel Osteen.
Oh, well, yeah. So, I mean, there was not the home, the church.
The church.
The Lakewood Church, yes. Nothing, no water got in there.
No.
So.
Though so here's the thing. I was having a conversation about this yesterday. Apparently, one of the first reactions that they had to it was tweeting a picture of the floodgates.
Yeah.
And how full it was.
Right.
Going like, we're flooded. There's nothing we can do. And then people realized that no water was like anywhere near the church.
It was inside the flood control.
And then what they had taken pictures of was the floodgates, like the flood control thing. It's like, well, we were a foot away from flooding. It's like, well, thank God you just nailed it. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of people who didn't get so lucky.
And oh, by the way, that wasn't the 3,000. No, how many seats does the sanctuary?
Like 17,000.
17,000.
Yeah.
That's not the sanctuary. That was for water to get into the building.
Yeah.
So they have this 17,000 seat sanctuary that, like, the Superdome, or not Superdome. Was it Superdome? Yeah.
Yeah.
In
for Katrina?
New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not meant for people to stay there, but it's a place where people can rest and just get in a seat and sit down and be dry. Sanctuary is fine for that. Maybe Joel Osteen just didn't want people in his church.
Oh.
Well,
that doesn't seem very Christian of him.
Oh, it's definitely not. But I hope that everyone in Houston keeps that in mind. And when he opens his doors 3 or 4 Sundays from now,
he opened it this Sunday.
Did he?
He opened it today, and he passed collection plates.
Oh, of course he did. I hope it was just as empty as it was on the Saturday that Harvey hit. Because my biggest hope from all of this, one, we got to, for at least a little while, stop talking about everything wrong with the country, and we got to talk about
to an extent.
I
mean, Trump did still go to Houston and say things like, "Oh, look at the size of this crowd." To people who have been displaced from their homes,
who wander outside to see him when he comes to their shelter, and not actually help anybody until he got guilted into doing it because the media said, "Hey, why didn't he actually go?
Didn't meet any victims?
And he's like, "Oh shit, let's get out there." And then he went out and gave out food. And his did you see the thing about the gloves? He went to serve food, and he was like, "Oh man, these gloves are so tight." And then like they stopped framing on it, and the gloves just like loosely hanging on. All right, Trump. All right, yeah. But for a while, we got to see pictures of first responders and volunteers helping people, and the
people themselves going out and like anyone who had a boat and helping people get out, people with trucks with like lift kits on them and stuff like that, like everybody helping.
For once, it paid off to have a little dick.
Yeah,
for once.
The same exact thought I had.
God, yeah. All those guys who are trying to make up for what they don't have. You guys are the winners today. Not in life, just
just today.
Just today when it comes to the flood. But it was a good. Like I said, on Saturday we had no idea what was happening, but by Monday, it became very clear that this was going to be a terrible, terrible storm. And I mean, I think it brought the country together. We needed something like that, and in characteristic fashion, the president found a way to just punt the ball off the side.
Make it about him.
Yeah, just make it as bad as possible, and he made it about himself. He didn't actually address. They lied about how many troops they were sending to the storm.
Yeah.
Like, how badly can you fumble a national?
Not only that,
situation?
but you you take all this money away from the EPA, and then the flooding in toxic waste.
Yeah, Superfund sites.
Yeah.
Nobody's running the store at NOAA or FEMA or anywhere else. They're all understaffed. Their budgets were slashed in Trump's proposed budget. And the EPA's budget was slashed in the proposed budget. And these are all things that might have come in handy in Houston.
Yeah.
And now moving into the Gulf states. And now it's now I was talking to my parents about this actually this week. It's weird because whenever a storm hits on the East Coast, in Maryland, we're always like, well, it's going to get here eventually, right? Like, we're eventually going to get the rain from Harvey. I wonder how bad it's going to be.
And what stage of like tropical depression is it in right now?
But you guys have a little bit something more to worry about. I wouldn't be concentrating so much on Harvey, but it's Irma that is going to be a bit of a problem. Early runs on the hurricane modeling are showing a Category 4 hurricane coming up the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
So everything that you've been seeing in Houston and in Louisiana, basically they're the same as Annapolis and Kent Island, which was just hit by a tornado a few weeks ago. Baltimore. I can't imagine those areas are not any better prepared for a hurricane than Houston or Baton Rouge was.
No. And I mean, like, especially like cities that are right on the coast have it the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the part of the reason why New Orleans was, you could only prepare for so much is basically what happened with Katrina.
Yeah.
Like, they planned that they were going to get hit by hurricanes from time to time. That's part of the culture down there. But nobody was preparing for a storm that huge hitting. And the same thing with Sandy. Like, you try to prepare for what it will be like when water rises like that. But, you know, the Inner Harbor will be completely flooded in no time.
And downtown Baltimore would be completely flooded. Like, the storm surge coming into the Inner Harbor from a Category 4 storm, I can't even imagine. Like, we were up at Charles and what was it, Saratoga, basically. Mm-hmm. I can't say that it's not going to push flooding like up in the direction of where we were living.
Oh yeah,
like the bottom.
If it was something like Houston.
Yeah. It's going to be a storm of ridiculous proportions. Now, hopefully the early modeling is wrong and it could push out to sea.
It's still showing this like scatter shot of like it could just hit Florida right flush on the coast.
Yeah, after it hits the Virgin Islands, we'll have a better idea of where it's going to go. But it's scary, especially for I don't know about you, but for me, with having family there and not being there, and thinking of myself as the responsible one in the family, and the one who's prepared for these kind of eventualities. It's a little scary to be this far away.
Well, I mean, so going back to Harvey for a second, part of what made this so horrible too is that like once the hurricane hit land, it essentially just sat there for a while.
Yeah.
And you could see a similar type of thing happening if like Irma hit Maryland, where it just like stays in the Chesapeake Bay and continues to like just gain steam as it's like,
or circles back out to the Delaware Bay and it just
sort of gets stuck in that area, just dropping water for days on end.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Floyd, Hurricane Floyd?
A little bit, yeah.
Probably in 7th or 8th grade at the time. But we didn't even get hit by Floyd. It just kind of went up the coast, but then a Canadian high came down and just parked it right off the East Coast. So we weren't getting all of the full effects, but it rained for probably 8 or 9 days straight.
Yeah.
And my school flooded. I remember we got out of school because I was in the middle of the day out on the trampoline, jumping up and down in the rain and the wind. And the wind was so forceful that I could jump at an angle off of the trampoline and it would like blow me back onto the trampoline before I landed. So it was like awesome when you're 8, but not awesome when you think about if that had actually hit us, we might have died. Like, oh my God. But now,
and obviously, if you have any money that you can donate to a worthy charity that'll help people,
not the Red Cross,
please donate. I'm a little bit here and there about the Red Cross, but I know everyone tries to push you to donate towards the Red Cross. Yeah. It's not the best charity that you can give to.
Let's get into that. So people have asked me this week, why not the Red Cross? Why not?
Well, I mean, essentially, they don't. You want a charity to be giving about 90 to 95%, if not higher. In the 90s is your general range of the amount of money that a charity brings in that goes towards the cause.
Right.
I mean, every charity is going to have some sort of like overhead or management, but you know, there's charities like I don't know if the Red Cross fits in this one or not, but they're like the CEO of the charity.
They do
makes a large 6-figure salary.
$680,000 for the CEO of the Red Cross.
So, or the director of the board, or something like that.
The CEO is the chairman of the board as well. Yeah. So,
so you know, it hurts a little bit when you think that there's like $500,000 that's going to somebody's pockets just to run the thing.
And that's just the highest person. Yeah. Their board also gets paid, and all of the high directors get paid.
And the amount of money that actually goes to the causes is, I think, like 82%.
Low. I think it's like 75 to 77%.
I mean, I guess it could fluctuate a bit over years, but I mean, roughly it's somewhere in that 75 to 80 range kind of thing.
Well,
and there's so many charities that are doing incredible work, especially local. Like if you can find local Texas charities,
yes,
like that's going to be the best way to go because they're going to be there far after everyone forgets about Harvey.
Yeah, the frustrating thing for me is that they seem to use disasters as a fundraiser. Like it's send yes or help to 90999 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that sends $10 to the Red Cross, which is great. For all of you who did that during the disaster in Haiti, exactly $0 went to Haiti from the Red Cross. What their excuse was, well, other disasters popped up, and when you donate, you're donating to the Red Cross.
You're not donating to the war chest.
Yes, you're not donating to Haiti. And if we decide that we shouldn't spend money there, then we're not going to spend money there. And so you think that you're sending your dollars to a place to fight a certain thing, and it's not that. It doesn't turn into that. So if Irma ends up hitting in the Mid-Atlantic region, they may just send no money to Houston.
Yeah.
And they might send resources to Maryland or Delaware or Pennsylvania instead, which is great. But people were giving with the intention of helping the people of Houston.
Now here's the other side of this though. And part of the reason why I said like I'm kind of here and there about the Red Cross. The Red Cross does mobilize and get on the ground wherever the disaster is very quickly.
They do.
And the war chest of money that they have allows people to go and immediately make things happen for people who need it.
Yes, except what they also do is they will send in when the military does it, we call them advisors. So like there are people who work for the Red Cross and they're salaried and they're like disaster advisors. They'll go in and they have like partner charities. So when you see somebody wearing the Red Cross vest, that doesn't mean that they're a Red Cross worker. They might work for the local charity.
That's been like deputized by the Red Cross.
And the local charity is the one who's paying for all of that. So that's why I always encourage people to find local charities that have great records of spending most of the money locally and most of the money on actual work. Because when the Red Cross comes in, they're going to deputize local agencies anyway. And then you're not spending money on CEO salaries and, fundraising, which is a huge part of what they do as well.
It's like, so when I donated a bunch of clothes prior to moving out here, like a bunch of things I knew I wasn't going to wear anymore and would rather go to like the homeless or something like that. I donated it to St. Vincent de Paul.
Right.
Which I think is like 98% of the money they make goes to the cause that they do. And the only thing that they have really is like the administrative cost of like basically keeping a network like this open.
Yeah.
There's not like a huge CEO salary or anything like that. But there's operational costs that come with any kind of charity like this. It's just part of the deal. Whereas if you go to the Salvation Army, that's an actual company.
Yes.
Like
they run a business.
Yeah. It's like you went to McDonald's to donate your clothes. Like you just take a little bit of time. There's plenty of places where you can look up how much charities give to. Do you know the website in particular?
I don't
got it
know.
like written down somewhere. Like
check the show notes on Tuesday. You'll be able to see the website that you can check out.
Yeah, it's like charity ranks or something like that. Anyway.
But it's really good, and they do a national registry. Not every charity's in there, but you'll be able to find out how much the one that you're giving to actually does. If you remember 2 years ago when
also as somebody just as a thing. If I never give money to charities on the street.
Right.
Because people do that as well, where they'll put on a Red Cross t-shirt and be like, oh, I'm collecting for the Red Cross.
Nope.
Go to Houston.
Nope.
Like, you're better off just writing a check and sending it to or going on the website and type in your credit card information for.
If you're going to give to the Red Cross, which again, I would say don't give to
wherever. Just be mindful of that as well, because people are scumbags.
I will say, though, 2 years ago, I was very, very negative about the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge because I said that the group who was taking donations for the Ice Bucket Challenge had a not so sterling record. I think they were like 77 to 83% of donations actually went to research.
Yeah.
But two major breakthroughs happened in the field of ALS.
Yeah.
Because of the Ice Bucket Challenge. So, not that the Red Cross doesn't do good work. They do good work. And
basically, what you want to think about the Red Cross as is like a rich dad who's willing to bail you out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I just got in a car accident and I need somebody to help me get through like this period of time where I need to pay for my car or help me pay for my car. Like that's when the Red Cross comes in and it's just like, don't worry, we got this. We got a lot of money to spend on blankets. And
they don't really do that though.
No, but they give to other organizations that are doing that.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
But a lot of times also what they do is they just help you fill out paperwork so that the government gives you the money for the car. Or they have... the local charity will give you the blanket, and their guy's wearing the Red Cross thing, but he actually doesn't work for the Red Cross. That's my complaint, is that they do good work, yes, but a lot of what you see as being Red Cross work isn't done by the Red Cross. It's done by some other local charity that's been deputized by the Red Cross. And there are promises of like, oh, we'll cover expenses and all of this stuff, and then when time comes to write the check later, sometimes the check doesn't get written, just like what happened in Haiti.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but again, we're 10 days out, so we will have another episode come up before, no, you guys won't hear it before Irma makes landfall, because they're expecting that to be next Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
But we will, and actually we will be in Vegas. No, not next week. No,
not
regular
next
time.
weekend.
Regular time next week. So we'll have a little more to say about Irma next week. So just keep an eye out on it. Like, I hate that social media has made us this way where every post from every person I know in Maryland is like, oh, Irma's coming right up the Chesapeake Bay. And then people I know in North Carolina are like, oh, direct hit from Irma. And people I know in Florida are like, oh, it's going to hit right here. Find reliable information. The thing about it coming up the Chesapeake Bay actually is coming from a lot of NOAA watchers that I see. So.
Yeah, and also remember that not every method of determining these things is the same.
No.
You were talking about the American and European models are like way off.
When Irma first was organizing itself and became a tropical storm, the European model was saying it was going to go through the Straits of Florida and hit the Gulf Coast of either Texas or Louisiana again. The American model was saying New York City may get hit by Irma. So these models are insanely off. Now, the further it goes, it's just like a big cone. The further, the more time passes, the more that it narrows. And now both models are saying it's probably going to stay in the Atlantic. Just where on the Atlantic coast is it going to hit? Is it going to hit, stay like hug the coast of Florida and North Carolina and then go out into the ocean? Is it going to like cut across and go straight into like the Mid-Atlantic region? But some of the models are still saying New York City could get hit in a early Sandy style storm. So I guess there'll be more information on that next week. So make sure you check us out. We'll probably be recording at normal time next week, I would imagine. Maybe? I don't know.
I don't see a reason why we
wouldn't.
We've
got a lot of stuff going on in the next couple of weeks, so I guess we'll have to see.
Can we move on to this cop in Salt Lake City?
I was gonna suggest.
I wanted to poke the bear a little bit.
Okay, go ahead. So I know some of you may be listening because I had mentioned on basically every form of social media this week that I had comments about the Utah nurse who was arrested by a police officer. Mm-hmm. Corey, why don't you go ahead and intro that? I'm gonna look up her name because I can't remember it.
Okay, so essentially. There was an accident, and one of the people involved in the accident, the person suspected of causing the accident, was in the hospital and unconscious. And a Salt Lake police officer, came in to get blood from the suspect, probably I'd imagine to run like whether he was intoxicated or drugs or something like that. The nurse, though, knowing that the patient was unconscious and couldn't say yes or no whether he wanted his blood drawn, and knowing that the police officer didn't have a warrant, went through 10 different supervisors and kept telling the officer, no, you can't, I'm not going to take the blood. You're not going to take the blood. Nobody's taking the blood. At which point the police officer grabbed her and started dragging her out of the hospital, where she was screaming and going, what did I do? And other people were saying, like, what are you doing? Like, calm down. This isn't the way to do this. And then she was, quote unquote, arrested before she was let go.
Yes.
Which is always a fun bit of math when you're arrested and then you're not arrested anymore.
Yeah. How's that work exactly?
Right.
Yeah. I'm in cuffs and I sat in the car, but I'm not actually under arrest.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So a couple.
You just detained me illegally for a little while. That's fine. I get it.
One correction that's very important. It was a victim of a car accident, not the driver.
Oh, okay. I guess I had been given incorrect information.
So my understanding is that there was an accident. The person who was in the hospital was not at fault, but he was a DOT driver. Now, pursuant to DOT regulations, they can be forced to produce a drug test whenever it's requested by an appropriate agency. And I suppose the police just wanted to check and see if the victim was also inebriated, because apparently it was pretty clear that I think it was someone who was suspected of drinking and driving who was the one who caused the accident.
Yeah.
So, because if you are suspected of drinking, now, and I don't support this, but this is basically the way that it works. If you are suspected of drinking and driving, and the police officer has reasonable articulable suspicion, then in most cases the hospital will draw your blood. They won't give it to the police, but they'll draw it and hold it and say, go get the warrant and then come back.
Yeah.
Now that depends, because some hospitals will just give it to you, give it to the police based on a reasonable articulable suspicion, because even if the person's unconscious, they have the police have to secure evidence, and that's what the rule is. But the reason that this was so unconscionable is that this was the victim of the car accident. So there was no warrant. He was not under arrest. He was not suspected of anything. And yet the police were requesting that she do an illegal and violation of HIPAA blood draw.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. I saw a lot of you, and her name, by the way, was Alex Webbles. And Webbles RN was, or Wubbles, Wubbels. Wubbles RN was trending on Twitter and on Instagram during the week this week. I have talked a little bit over the last few months about everyone having their woke moment. There's a moment that everyone will experience. Some of you have already, some of you won't, but maybe you will in the future, hopefully, where the thing will happen to you that will bring you out of your lethargy when it comes to everything that's wrong with society.
Hello, Kate.
Yeah, hi, Kate. Kate is hoping that I talk about this, so I'm glad she joined us right on time for that. But I'm seeing a lot of people who this is the thing that is making them say, what the fuck is going on with the police now?
Yeah.
Now, my argument to people like Kate this week was, you realize that this has been happening to people of color and to other minority groups for years now. Like, when you heard me bitching about this after Mike Brown, after Tamir Rice, after Philando Castile, these are all not the same cop, but the same cops. The same system is in place. And now that it's a white woman who is a nurse in Utah, now all of a sudden every voice that was saying, listen, just comply with the police and then it'll all get straightened out later. Now all of those people are pretty silent, and I'm not hearing anything from anyone. What I'm hearing is, how dare the police officer do that? You're fucking right. How dare he do that? But how dare they shoot innocent people?
Yeah.
How dare they kill innocent people on the roadside, or beat them, or sexually assault them, or any other number of things that they do? You guys don't understand this. Like, every single cop is bad. Policing is violence. Either you are a standby and you watch other cops, like, I don't know, the 4 other police officers who stood there and watched him drag her out of the hospital and said nothing, or you're a sympathizer to the police, like the other 6 men who stood there and watched the cop do that and didn't intercede when they knew it was an illegal arrest. All of you are complacent in this system that is killing innocent people. And I hope that this woke up a bunch of people, but if it didn't, well, that's unfortunate. I don't know what it's going to take. If a middle-aged white woman doing her job isn't enough for you to see how horrible police officers are, I don't know what it's going to take to wake you up. Killing a 12-year-old black kid in the street 2 seconds after you arrive on scene, that's not good enough. Killing a man in front of his daughter and his fiance because he properly announces that he has a weapon in the car the way that he's supposed to, that's not enough. Watching more than one man be choked to death by the police on video, having an officer shoot a man in the back and then throw a taser next to the body on camera, although he didn't know he was being recorded.
Right.
To make it, like, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? Policing is violence. And until we change the way that we do all of this, nothing is ever going to be different. They all need to be fired. Not just Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore especially. But cops everywhere. We need to fire all of them. Figure out what's wrong. Rehire those who can be trained to do the right thing. Take away all of their guns, because Christ knows we don't need those psychopaths having guns. And then try to build a system that operates better. But nobody wants to hear that. Everybody's afraid of a system that looks like that. And people like Alex, thank God she didn't fight back so much that she got tased or shot. Because what are one of those officers going to do who, when they see him drag her out of the hospital for no reason, because just to go over this again, she followed her hospital policy. That nurse happened to be the nurse on duty. We know many nurses.
Yeah.
EP, friend of the show, nurse, may have been the one who was there when some crazy ass cop comes in the hospital. And
not only that, like, just think about it this way, in terms of the way that this is. If I was just a guy who walked into you were in a car accident.
Yeah.
And I came in and I said, I need you to draw blood of Rob right now because I need to run it make sure he wasn't drinking or something like that or didn't have drugs in his system. And then the nurse goes like, well, I can't give you that. It's like, well, check with a supervisor. And then she makes 10 calls. Yeah. Like gets 10 supervisors to say no. If I just start going like, let me in there, I'm going to take the blood myself, you'd be like, that person is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and no, because the cop didn't say, let me in there. I'm going to take the blood myself.
It's come with me. You're under arrest.
He said, you're under arrest for what?
Yeah.
For not doing what I say.
Right.
So, I've made this point before. Every cop is basically just a little kid who's been picked on for too long, and now he has the advantage.
Is a dangerous word, but
every is listen, there are only two kinds of cops. There are bad cops, and there are complicit cops. If you are standing by and letting this psycho act like that and not grabbing on the shoulder and being like, Jim, get your shit together. Get the fuck out of here. Like, go outside, cool off, and then come back in here and handle that. If you don't pull your service weapon and point it at that guy and say, who the fuck do you think you are? Put your hands up. Then you're a bad cop. I'm sorry. You're a bad cop. Because you are watching someone break the law.
Yeah.
Now, what would he do if he saw me putting my hands on a nurse and dragging her out of the hospital?
Oh, he'd get involved right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the right to do that. But similarly, this officer did not have the right to do that.
Yeah.
That is an illegal arrest. She could have turned around and clocked him upside his head, and the law says she would have been fine. She could have struggled with him even to the point of killing him, and she would have been justified under the Supreme Court precedents. Because the arrest was illegal, and you were allowed to fight an illegal arrest up to the point of killing a police officer. And maybe if that happened a little more often, maybe they would stop making illegal arrests.
Well, I feel like if that happened, then they just find out some reason that it was a legal arrest.
Why? How can you make an illegal arrest from that?
Oh, I'm not saying I know how to do that or I know what's going on, but if the officer says well, right before those cameras came on, she said she had a gun and she was going to shoot me, and that's why I was arresting her.
And then I stood there.
It's like nobody else who was standing right there heard it, but I heard it.
Well, then I stood there and talked to her for 25 minutes, and then I decided to arrest her.
I don't know. I'm just saying, how many times have you seen somebody get arrested for nothing, and then all of a sudden, inconspicuously the next day, the charges come of something that wasn't brought up during the initial arrest?
Yeah. It happens a lot. Sure.
Yeah.
And in the case, depending on the color of your skin or what group you are affiliated with, that may go differently for you. And that's unfortunate because justice isn't supposed to work that way. It's supposed to be equal for everyone. But in the end, if anyone there had helped her resist that arrest, they would have been justified, but everyone is scared. There's an entire society that is built around this concept of the warrior cop. And guys, it is a myth. There's no such thing as the warrior cop. These guys are a bunch of scared-ass pussies who are given badges that make them feel superior and guns to make them enforce that superiority on you. That is it. Now, the guy who's acting like a juice head who's lost his shit, he's got a lot of stuff wrong with him, and he needs to be taken off the force. Luckily, he's not out there policing anymore.
Well, he's been suspended with pay.
Oh, so now we're just paying him to stay at home. That's right, because that's what we do when you break the law. Much like the police officer in another part of the country who made a joke to a white during a traffic stop of a white person that we only kill black people.
Yeah.
And also placed on administrative leave, paid. Because as we've seen, you'll get put on administrative leave if you joke about killing black people, but not if you actually kill them.
By the way, Rob, just a little off topic. Rob in the chat.
Yes.
I'm looking at Burns' draft right now, and God, that is terrible. I didn't even see it happening live.
Do you expect anything more from...
He's got 3 quarterbacks, and one of them is Hoyer and with the 49ers. I don't imagine...
Oh, Burns. Come on. Anyway, now you're trying to get me off track.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, so Kate has a couple of comments I want to go through. It doesn't matter what color she is. It was a nurse that was following protocol. And this is the argument I got in with Kate earlier this week, which is, yes, it shouldn't matter what color she is. But the fact that Kate cares now, and the fact that a lot of people who haven't cared for the last few years about this stuff care, is that they care now because she is white. Because you didn't care about Philando Castile. You didn't care about Tamir Rice. You didn't care about Michael Brown. You didn't care about any other number of hashtags, Sandra Bland or anybody else. Now you care. Because Alex Wubbles is a professional white woman who is harassed by the cops. So now it's a fucking problem. In the immortal words of Eminem, kids are in the... Now it's a problem in middle America. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see in upper class cities. Yeah.
Something like that.
Fucking pulled that out of nowhere. Kate also says if she had broken protocol, she could have lost her license. Her supervisors were the ones defending her outside, trying to keep her safe. Yes, they did. But they also allowed that police officer to put his hands on her, forcibly yank her arms behind her back, and drag her outside. A guy who looked to be, I don't know, in his mid to late 40s probably. And if any one of those young men had grabbed him by the back of his neck or punched him in the fucking face, then he would have had something else to worry about other than putting his hands on that nurse. But we're all so fucking scared of these police officers, and we think, oh my God, I don't want to touch them. I don't want to do the wrong thing. Fuck them. If they're doing something wrong, you need to intercede. The one thing that we can learn from Antifa as a whole is they don't give a fuck. If the cops are doing something wrong, you will be swarmed by members. If the KKK or the neo-Nazis are doing something wrong, you will be swarmed by members because none of this is allowed to go without a response. But the bootlicking people out in the world, the supervisors and people who are supposed to be staying up for her, let her get dragged out of the hospital. They let her get put in cuffs. They let her get dragged in cuffs through stumbling over curbs and being dragged across the sidewalk and thrown into a cop car where she sat for a half hour. And then once she was out, they didn't force the guy to give her an apology. They didn't use force to get her out of the car. They just sat and waited and they argued. Because, as Corey will argue till he's red in the face, with Nazis or police or any other kind of people who are ridiculous, what we really need to do is to talk about it, not actually do action.
Okay, so I would like to take a minute here.
The thoughts of Rob Cheek are his and his alone, not those of the Anthem Podcast or of Corey specifically.
Sure, as well.
Fuck the police.
I would like to say yes to many of the things that Rob just said. I'm not going to agree with it all to the same fervor, but in principle we can agree. I'd like to go back to the moment of wokeness, though.
Okay.
Where, like, for some people, this was the moment where they realized that, like, police are bad and coming at way overstepping what they should be allowed to do. And sort of talk about the last step in the wokeness of the American people.
Yeah.
Which is the people who get incorrect information or will not allow for a piece of information that has not been either categorically proven or denied too much sway.
Okay.
So, like, I remember once I was having an argument with somebody about Freddie Gray.
Yeah. And
they said the cop stopped him, and they all walked to the car, and he looked like he was fine walking to the car. I'm like, No, he didn't.
No.
They carried him to the car.
And he was screaming in agony.
Yeah, and it was clear that he was in like in really bad shape. And they were like, no, I saw it. He was walking on his own. I'm just like, well, if you're going to deny what we have video evidence for, there's not much I can do.
Yeah.
So number one, I think people need to just come to their own terms of like what is going back to Osteen. Yeah. Like if you're a Christian, you gotta your whole thing should be about doing anything you can to try and help the less fortunate.
Right.
In this case, the people who are losing their homes, losing their family, they can't afford flood insurance.
Especially if you have a $70 million tax-free income every year.
Yeah. Figure out what's important to you. Is it helping people or is it trying to keep transgenders out of the military? Right. Like what is the dividing, or what is the thing that guides you as a Christian?
What would Jesus do?
Yeah, what would Jesus do? The liberal Jew.
Yeah. The Bernie Sanders
the Bernie
of the first
Sanders
century,
of the
if you will. I don't imagine he was quite balding and with such a heavy New York accent, though.
Yeah. Take of this because it's my blood.
Can we get Bernie Sanders to do a Jesus impression? Yeah. Just read through the Last Supper.
Oh, man, he'll be president so fast if he does that. Everyone will love that.
Yeah.
The other thing, and this is related to another topic. We need to just, I think what we all need to do is start thinking with our own brains as far as like what information we're getting in and how we're going to apply it to our own lives.
Okay.
The Cleveland Browns had 30 or some odd players perform a separate kneeling during the national anthem, which included black players and white players.
Yep.
And now the Cleveland Police Department said they are going to protest the holding the flag during the national anthem when they stretch out the 100-yard flag.
Yeah.
They're going to protest that and not show up because of the protests that are happening to the national anthem.
Wait. So you're telling me that the police are going to use the national anthem as a form of protest?
Yeah.
All right. We need to nip this in the bud. Because listen, the more we talk about it, it's just making this kneeling situation worse. All right. So let's just stop talking about it and then maybe it'll go away. And listen, it's not that I don't appreciate police officers, your point. It's that I don't like how you're going about it. It really sends the wrong message. It's unpatriotic, the way that you're going about this protest, about the whole kneeling thing. I'd really like if maybe we could identify these particular police officers and, maybe they don't have a job next year. I'd really enjoy if that happened. Sorry, go ahead.
Anywho.
Just making Colin Kaepernick arguments.
The opinions of Rob's are... No, but I mean, like, it's so weird. Like, I got into it about Colin Kaepernick recently. And it's just like, I don't give a shit. I couldn't care less. Like,
about his protest?
Yeah, like Marshawn Lynch is sitting.
Yeah.
Just to name somebody.
He don't give a fuck about anything.
Right. And I'm saying, like, no, all the people who are Raider fans who are just like, Colin Kaepernick should be fucking ashamed of himself and he should be lynched for his shit and stuff like that. Like, they're now that they got Marshawn Lynch, now that they got the beast mode, they're like,
well, I'm sitting too. I'm sitting too. Yeah, beast mode.
He can sit. I mean, like, he wasn't really involved in this whole thing. It's just like you make all these excuses for why it's okay for Marshawn to sit, but not for Colin Kaepernick to sit.
Yeah.
Now you're making it okay excuses for why the police department can sit, but players can't sit.
Right.
Like, just fucking, like, if your line at the end of the day is respect the anthem and just have a quiet moment of solace or a quiet moment with the flag.
Reflection, yeah.
And we would prefer that you stand because that's usually the sign of respect. Then I would understand why you were upset if anybody kneeled or sat during the anthem or kneeled. But be consistent.
Right.
If you don't like Kaepernick, you don't like Marshawn Lynch. If you don't like Kaepernick, then you don't like half the Browns. Like,
and
figure it out.
Every NFL team during the preseason had somebody who sat or knelt during the anthem.
Yeah.
Every NFL team. So, listen, I don't know if maybe the Defense Department needs to spend some more money on the the pre-show festivities to make us more patriotic. Maybe that'll work. I mean, I think it was like $9 million last year. So maybe up that to like maybe 10 or $11 million.
Here's a fun piece of information. In the 1970s, early 70s, they started doing this research that said that people are more likely to spend money if they think that the company that they're spending it with is patriotic.
Right.
And then they started asking fans, when they would do research into how fans are liking their sports, how patriotic is the NBA? How patriotic is Major League Baseball? How patriotic is the NFL? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Every year, I mean, it's not an exact science because this doesn't necessarily mean one thing leads to the other, but they found that the more patriotic they were perceived, the more money they made.
Yeah.
So that's when we started getting American flag decals on the back of helmets.
Yeah.
And, like the big, huge spectacle of not only the Star Spangled Banner, but Lee Greenwood and,
proud of me, America.
And eagles and flyovers and the whole bit. Yeah. This is in the color guard and everything.
More patriotic means more money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really about the patriotism. I will remind everyone that, as some immortal philosopher said, whose name escapes me right now, when fascism comes, it will come wrapped in an American flag and holding a Bible. So we're almost there. Yay. Because our president, who couldn't give two shits about religion, started quoting Bible verses while he was in Louisiana and Texas this week.
That's the one I think bothers me the most. Like I would like it a whole lot more if Trump was just like, listen, I'm not a church going guy, but I appreciate people who are.
You guys like God? Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's never been the thing that's really hit me that way. I mean, I like to consider myself a Christian, and I like to follow Christian beliefs the best I can, but I admit that I'm not the best follower of Christ, and I could do more.
We all have sinned and fallen short of the glory.
Yeah, and I don't have, now that I'm president, I don't have time like I used to, but I would like to have a better relationship with God in the future. Blah blah blah. Like if he said that, and then the Christians were like, oh well, he's admitting his shortcomings. He's
at least he's not from Nigeria or Kenya. Sorry,
at least
Kenya.
He's not black.
Yes.
But it's like, I'm the most religious. I know everything about the Jesus.
The Jesus, yeah. And
then you'll get fucking the various Christian mouthpieces on cable news going like, well, he's doing this for Christ. He's threatening to wipe North Korea off the face of the earth because this is what Jesus would have wanted.
And he's using biblical terminology like fire and fury that the world has never seen.
Yeah.
So, and luckily for us, being on the West Coast, we came a little closer to nuclear annihilation because the nihilist part to me just said, I saw this week, by the way, I don't know if you saw, an asteroid passed very close to Earth. Well, relatively close to Earth, within the orbit of the moon to Earth. And I saw that story and I'm like, fuck, not close enough. Not close enough. Just hit us and get it over with already. And that's kind of my position on North Korea. At this point, I'm just saying, you know what?
What would you think if we just heard a news story that said, breaking news tonight, an asteroid has hit Pyongyang?
Yeah.
And just that, it's gone. North Korea has been...
I would not believe that it was an actual asteroid.
You would think that there would be shady dealings.
Of course, yes. Yeah, no.
Because of course, everything has to be something else. It can't be.
Well, there's no way an asteroid would just randomly hit Pyongyang.
It's not. I mean, it could. Why couldn't it?
Because that makes up 0.0 to the 10th 1% of the Earth's surface.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's just where the impact area was.
It's too much. Too much coincidence.
Okay.
Oh, wait. But the president is a very religious man. Maybe Jesus sent the asteroid. Yeah. But
help him out. Get rid of this Kim Jong-un guy.
You guys saw this week. Fantastic news. North Korea has several things. One, they have mastered hydrogen bomb technology, thermonuclear technology, and they have made it small enough that it fits into an ICBM. So, on the plus side...
Which stands for Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. God damn it. intercontinental ballistic missile.
Yeah. Yes. So what does that mean?
It means that it can go from continent to continent. So from like Asia to America.
And what kind? What does the ballistic part of it mean?
It's
No, ballistic is the launch parameter. It's
okay. Clearly, I don't know. I was just trying to
the launch curve. Anyway, so they've now made a hydrogen bomb small enough. One, they've mastered thermonuclear technology, and the bomb is small enough they can fit in an ICBM. So luckily, we won't have to worry about nuclear fallout or radiation sickness because the bomb will be big enough; it'll just take out the whole city. So we'll be dead. And again,
probably be dead if it hit San Diego.
No, see, and this is what happens when you talk to laymen. They don't understand how big the bomb would have to be to take out both San Diego.
Didn't you say it was 100 times bigger than
Hiroshima? Yes, it's 100. Well, the one that they tested this week was 100 kiloton nuclear weapon, which is about 7 times bigger than Hiroshima, which is still a relatively small weapon. But even the Tsar Bomba, the largest nuclear weapon ever, if it were to be detonated in San Diego, would not take out Los Angeles.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Go to the show notes, and you can check out a really interesting website. It's called Nuke Map, and you can actually choose the kilotonnage of a bomb and where it would go off, and it shows you what would happen there. I used it for a lot of research for the most recent novel, The Movement, Insurrection. No, Movement. What's the other one? I wrote them. I feel like I should know this.
Like you should know the titles?
Insurrection. That's the other one. I can't think of it now.
You keep going.
Sure, yeah. Go grab the book. So anyway, I use the Nuke Map, and if you read the book, you would be able to see why. That book is, of course, available at robertandcheek.com/books, as all the books are. And hey, new book coming out this fall, so make sure that you get that in advance. But anyway, check out the initiative.
Insurrection and
Insurgency. I checked it out in Insurgency. I used it as a resource, so it's fantastic. Make sure you check that out. Anyway, so we had a nuclear test of a 100 kiloton weapon. We had an announcement that they've probably mastered thermonuclear technology and that it's small enough to fit in an ICBM. They launched a Scud missile, several Scud missiles, and then did a separate missile launch that went over the Japanese island of Hokkaido and into the Pacific Ocean.
For which they were very excited.
Well, they were very excited. The Japanese were very scared.
Yeah.
As rightly they probably should be. For the first time since, I think, World War or the Korean War, air raid sirens went off in Japan, and people actually went to like shelters. So things are getting really serious in the East Asia area of the world. And our president had, of course, a lot of soothing tones to say, fire and fury, and
let's stop trading with every country that trades with North Korea.
It seems pretty easy, right?
Yeah, like China.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Or Germany, or Thailand.
Yeah, basically anywhere that we get products.
Russia.
Anywhere we get products because they're cheaply made there. We wouldn't be able to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So enjoy that.
So enjoy your $4,000 microwaves, everybody.
Yeah. But maybe we'll bring those jobs back to America.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're going to have to because there's not going to be any international trade anymore.
What do you think will happen first? They bring jobs back to America, or we just don't have any microwaves?
We're just done with
No company's going to be like, oh, we can sell it.
The CEO of GE's like, we don't really need microwaves, do we? We're all just buying them and then just looking at them to collect dust, right? Am I the only one?
They last for like 15 years. This president is only going to be there for like 18 more months. Shut it down. It'll be fine. Just mothball everything. We'll be back in a few months, guys.
Tell China we'll be back in 2 years. Yeah.
We're going to fire everybody, but we'll be back. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so before Bannon left, he had made like these secret pronouncements that there was no military plan to attack North Korea. So, of course, General Mattis and Trump both came out to say that, well, in the strongest possible terms, we condemn this. And I have to say, I look at Trump's response, and then I look at Prime Minister Abe's response, the Prime Minister of Japan. He had a missile
fly. You mean Prime Minister Abe?
It's Abe.
I know. That's what Trump said once.
Did he say Abe? Oh, of course he did.
Talk to Abe.
Abe. He had a missile fly over his country. He had a neighboring warmongering nation launching nuclear, just test a nuclear weapon, and he had an ally, the United States, say that they were going to cut off a trade deal that benefits Japan and South Korea all in the same week. So, and he said, we condemn this in the most strongest possible terms. We turn to the UN. We ask for a strong round of sanctions, and we ask that North Korea be brought to the table for diplomatic negotiations on ending this nuclear weapons program. That's it. That's a response from a world leader.
That sounds like it was thought out and run through people.
Certainly run through somebody.
Like their version of the State Department.
Yeah.
And National Defense probably got involved in that statement a little bit.
Yeah.
He thought ahead about the world as a whole with the UN.
Right.
And said what would be a win in his mind.
Yes. Whereas Trump said, essentially, we'll bomb you into the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with us.
Right. Which is exactly what North Korea wants. That's the reaction they want. They want...
And that's the difference.
It's just like, okay, so not quite the same example, but something that I imagine a lot of guys will be able to relate to. Have you ever been with a girl who said, I'm going to break up with you if you keep doing this?
Yeah.
And then you go like, oh no, don't break up with me. I love you. Like, please, I don't know what I would do without you. It's like, well, you better stop smoking. Mm-hmm. And then you stop smoking. And then you're miserable. Mm-hmm. And then a month and a half later, it's like, I don't like it when you drink. If you don't stop drinking, I'm going to break up with you. And you're like, no, baby, I love you. I can't let this go. Like this, what North Korea wants is they want America to go like, we're going to blast you into the Stone Age, because then they can go, see how unreasonable America is?
This is why we need nuclear weapons.
We are the greatest country in the world, and they're threatening us like this?
We need to protect ourselves from the coming American invasion.
Yeah.
They are about to invade us, and we clearly only want
for
to
no
these
reason
weapons.
whatsoever. They're trying to limit our ability to trade with other countries.
Yep.
They're threatening us with war, and the only person who's able to stand up to this warlord is the Right Honorable Kim Jong-un.
The chosen one.
The chosen one.
Yeah. Let me ask you though.
He birthed a mountain once. Literally a mountain.
Doesn't poop at all.
Yeah.
Doesn't poop. That's a true thing that they believe in Korea. The Kim family doesn't poop. Anyway, let me ask you a question about your metaphor there.
Yeah.
Now, when the girl does guilt you and gets you to stop smoking, is there ever an occasion where, I don't know, where like you secretly smoke even though she told you not to, and then she calls you 15 minutes after you smoked, and then you have to run off and see your family?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Good memories. Good memories from stories this week. Anyway, so we're still here. We don't know what's going to happen next week.
Hopefully we make it till Tuesday so we can actually drop this episode.
Yes.
In a proper fashion.
We'll upload it and then just have it there. And then if we don't make
ready
it,
and waiting.
It would be like the laugh track. Just dead voices talking to you.
Those are dead people laughing.
Entertaining you. But yeah. So the North Korea situation is going to continue to progress.
It's weird because like we don't really talk that much about like an LA corner version of this, like the LA version of the Baltimore corner.
Yeah.
Because most of the concerns that I have don't really have to do with like LA in particular.
Right.
Where except for like, like, oh, I'm so much closer to a nuclear attack now. Like, and the fact it's like a nuclear attack plus Trump equals I got to be worried about this thing all the fucking time now. Yeah. Thanks.
There was like a small earthquake, by the way. I don't know if you heard about that up in the Inland Empire.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. It was like a 3.3. But I love that everybody's reaction was just like, that's not an earthquake. I think the earth was moving. I'm pretty sure it was 3.3. That wouldn't even.
What was Maryland?
What?
What's that Maryland quake?
It was near a 3.3. Like it was not that much. But here,
the epicenter was a lot closer to where I was at the time.
Epicenter was close, and there nothing has ever moved before in that way, and the buildings aren't meant to move, and like the whole thing. Here, it's just like you would sleep through. 3.3, so don't worry about it. But that's life in California. It's fire season, and hopefully, and we're not going to burn, but we might get swallowed up by an earthquake.
All I hope is that I'm not in the elevator at the doctor's office when.
Oh God.
So where Rob and I both go to the doctor, the building was built in the 1830s, and
clearly,
and the elevator like It basically feels like a can being led up a hallway by a string.
I'm convinced that there's
it just sort of rattles around the walls.
There's a couple guys down in the basement, and it's like an old.
They're on like a bike.
It's an old ship. It's like an old ship. You push the button and it goes ding 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 ding, and it's like third floor. All right, ready, boys?
Yeah. There's just two guys on a bike, like helping.
Powering it up. Like, oh, we missed it. Okay, just keep going.
I'm just really worried that one day I'm gonna be in that elevator. I'm gonna be like going back to the first floor. I'm gonna be on my phone because obviously I'm just gonna be like going away, and then all of a sudden it's like the big one hits, and I'm just like, no,
not here,
anywhere but here.
But the good news is
rent will go down.
Well, the rent will go down, but the elevator's brakes will hold. You'll just be trapped between floors, and you'll starve to death. So there's that. Yeah.
Because the rest of the building comes toppling down except for just the elevator.
Just the elevator shaft with the elevator stuck in it, yeah. So even if you pry the doors open, you just be 60 feet in the air.
I'd like to imagine that the police or fire department just roll by and it's just like, well, that building collapsed. And clearly nobody would be in that elevator, so...
I've been in an elevator before. Been in an elevator. Soon as I heard anything about an earthquake, I would not get in that elevator. So I'm sure it's empty. We're fine.
I'm sure whoever's in it's already dead. It's Schrodinger's elevator.
He's already dead. Don't worry about it. Anyway, we have to laugh to keep from crying. That's where we're at as a society. Okay.
Well, you know where else you can... Oh, fuck. Hold on. Mm-hmm. It was a good one. It was a good one. I just take two. You know where else you can laugh until you cry?
Where's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595.
Use take two. Family Guy joke. Sorry, guys. And you can find me on our social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can sign up for my email list. You can find links to my political blog, foundingthefuture.us, where you can find more opinions like the one you've heard today. And also check out Founding Future on Twitter, Instagram, all over the web. And you can find a link to the news website and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
I agree. Especially that part in the middle. I really hope everybody listens to that part in the middle.
The thoughts and opinions of Rob Cheeker.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you are listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Also, big ups to the O's. En fuego.
En fuego. Let's get that wild card, boys. Yeah.
All right. Peace, yo, peace.
Hey, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you check out the episode on Tuesday. Share with your friends and family and everyone. But we'll be back. Friday, you guys
Saturday.
Friday you're going to the winery or whatever, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So probably next Saturday. Look for the notifications. If you're watching now, I accidentally hit the lock. It's gone now.